Welcome to the reading for the month of June. That's correct, month. I was doing weekly readings of Choose Your Own Card, but I am trying to recuperate from botched cataract surgery, and so editing videos has just become a very painful process to me, and just using my eyeballs in general. So the reading shall now be once a month, and I'm going to pull a couple of cards on each week so we can see what the energies are going to be like for that particular week. And so going into each week, you're going to kind of know what to expect in your given situation. So for this reading, I'm using the Radiant Wise Tarot, published by Los Scarabeo. This is a version of the Granddaddy Tarot deck of them all, the Rider-Waite-Smith. I like this deck because they've given it a bit of an antique look. And I will be switching camera angle in a couple seconds here to give you an overhead view of the reading so you can see the cards directly. These are the card backs. The edges are plain, meaning not gilded. And here we go with a good look at a few of the cards. And I just love that it looks like these were stained with tea. So for each week, I'm going to be pulling 3 cards. Now there are technically 5 weeks in June, but that 5th week only has 2 days in it. So I will be treating June as though it were a 4-week month. Alrighty, so that's what the general overall style of the card deck is. And I'm going to shuffle a few times and pull 3 cards for each week. So this will be a total of a 12-card reading. And at the end, I will lay out all the cards so you can see them all together. And then I'll look for overall patterns for the month's energy. If you hear any weird sounds out here, that's my dog Magic. She's out here with me. Hopefully, nothing will happen to make her bark. This is a new deck for me, so it is not wanting to rifle shuffle very easily. Alright. I cut the deck into thirds. That's not my dog, that's a neighbor's dog. And here we go with week 1. I will flip them over, of course. Week 2. Week 3, I'll put off to the right here. And week 4. All right, let's see what we've got going on here. We're going to look at week number 1. I'll just flip over all 3 at once. We get the King of Swords, the 6 of Wands, and the 2 of Cups. A very good representation of the minor arcana suits. You've got 3 out of 4 here. Swords are ruled by the element of air, and they govern our thoughts, intellect, matters of the mind. And then you've got the 6 of Wands. Wands is governed by the element of fire, and fire rules over our passions, and not just sexual passions, but anything you feel passionate about. Communication, especially of a verbal nature, and intuition. Then you've got the Suit of Cups, ruled by the element of water, and the Suit of Cups involves our emotions, relationships, creativity. So you've got the King of Swords here to start off the first week of June. The kings represent authority figures in the tarot, generally speaking, and they can often come up to represent someone's father figure or perhaps an employer, but someone with some authority in your life who is a male. And the King of Swords is very steadfastly loyal to those that he loves, and he will defend them to the death. This is someone who really has your back, okay? So if you've been needing help with someone, or I hope you haven't needed anyone to defend you in any way, but if you have, the first week of June is the time to ask for that type of help, because he's right there in the forefront to help you out. And then we've got the Six of Wands here, and the traditional meaning of the Six of Wands, the interpretation is victory after a battle. And this is what we have here. In medieval times, when they would win a battle, they'd come riding back to the village on their horse, and people would, celebrate them. And we've got here the laurel wreath and another one on his spear here, or his wand. And this is a symbol of victory since ancient Grecian times, and that's actually what they would give the winners of the Olympics in ancient Greece. So this is saying that as long as you've got this strong person in your corner, you're going to win. Whatever the struggle is, whatever the battle may be, you're going to come out on top. Then we have the Two of Cups, and this is really fortuitous, coming after the Six of Wands. Here we have a battle. The battle's been won. The Two of Cups, this is the peace treaty. This is everything calming down and things going not just your way, but the energies are going to move positively for all the parties involved. Somehow this whole situation is just going to transmute into something so much better. So it's really a great way to start off the month. So that is week 1. Now we're going to look at week 2. We get the Ace of Cups, the Nine of Swords, and the Queen of Swords. Aces represent new things. They represent new beginnings, things just starting to develop, that seed of initial germination, And the Ace of Cups in particular represents the beginnings of new love, the beginnings of healing, of a start of a creative venture, perhaps even the start of a romantic relationship. Now, this ace here, it's being offered to you. It's being offered by the hand of God or the hand of the universe to you. And it's saying that there's this positive energy flowing down from the heavens. These little, what look like droplets of water, some books, they call them yads, and they represent positive universal energy flowing down to us from above. And so it's just saying there's this good energy coming in as a result of the struggles of the first week and overcoming that. Now you've got all these blessings around you abounding, but somehow we also have the Nine of Swords in the mix. Now remember, swords are the suit of the mind, of our thoughts. The Nine of Swords represents having anxiety that keeps you awake at night or gives you nightmares. This woman here, or actually this individual, you can't even tell if it's a woman or not, they've got their head in their hands and they're sitting up in bed going, oh my God, why can't I sleep? Why can't I sleep? And they're just so worried about something. Now, there's nothing here to tell me what the worry is going to be about, but it's something new, something that has to do with creativity, romance, healing, and health, and even new blessings. Sometimes we can have so many positive things happen all at once that it becomes kind of overwhelming. You've heard of the bad stress, good stress scenario. Like a perfect example for me from a couple of years ago, I was freaking out because my daughter and we had tickets to go see Paul McCartney. And he's my favorite singer, and I was, dying to go, and I really knew, with it being the 6th time I've seen him perform, it was going to be the last time, because he was about to turn 80, and I figured he's not going to tour anymore after this. Well, I was wrong, but anyway, I was so geared up for it that I was also at the same time so stressed out. I couldn't eat anything that whole day. I went to the concert on an absolutely 100% empty stomach. All I had was water and, Sprite. That was it. I was fine, Had an awesome time. It was wonderful, just like the first 5 times were. My daughter had an awesome time, which was the main reason I wanted to go, so she could have a second chance to see him. But, there's a perfect example of that good stress, that positive stress. Yet, it can really mess with our systems. The next day, I felt kind of sick, but, I wasn't overly sick or anything. I just didn't feel myself. So it could be that. It could be that there's this abundance of blessings coming in, but it's where the situation has become so good, has turned around so quickly on a dime, that it kind of leaves us reeling. And so you kind of get that, oh my gosh, now that all that's worked out and my emotions have leveled off from that, all of a sudden all this great stuff's happening, and now I don't know what to do about it. I don't know how to deal with it. What are the changes that are coming as a result of all these good things entering my life? It's that sort of anxiety. And then we have the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords, like the King, she's the female aspect of the authority figure. And also these two people, they're very in control of their thoughts. Basically, Swords people can direct their thoughts to manipulate reality. And now that we're living in the fifth dimension, I've mentioned this in my videos before, and I have one about it that I will link up here. You'll see a card up here at the top of the screen. You can check it out after you watch this video, and I'll link it to the description below. But now that we're living in the fifth dimension, what's happening is what we think about is coming to manifest, okay? So she's an important reminder. Don't stress over the good stuff, and by all means don't stress over the bad, because that's going to lead to those energies magnifying. That stress will magnify, because we've entered into basically what they're calling the Age of Aquarius, that they've been singing about since the 60s by a group named the Fifth Dimension. No coincidence there. And now that we're in it, I've seen it in my own life all over the place. I start thinking about something and all of a sudden it just happens. Like a good example in traffic. Traffic here in Houston is horrible. And I was behind this vehicle and he was driving a little bit erratically. And I was like, I think this guy's drunk or on something, and I was really nervous, and cars were crowding me all around. I couldn't change lanes. And so I was just like, okay, I imagined him putting his blinker on and getting into the right lane and just turning off the highway, I imagined that. About 2 minutes go by. That's exactly what he did, except he didn't use his blinker, and he just kind of went across traffic. And I was just like, oh my God, someone's going to die. Luckily, no one got hurt. No one got hit, and he got off the road. So see, that's a prime example of our brains now basically having become manifestation machines. So that's how you've got to treat it. So you've got to be really careful what you think about, okay, and how you think about it. And your expectations. Expect the positive, and the positive is most likely to occur. So that's what I'm getting for week 2. Now up here is week 3. And we have the Empress. Ooh, the Sun. What's the third card? Oh, shit. Well, these readings aren't canned. Oh my goodness, look at that. That is so heavy duty. Okay, first of all, any cards with a title, the Empress, the Sun, the Devil, the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, those are cards of the Major Arcana. The Major Arcana represents universal energies that enter into our lives at various times to help us to learn karmic or soul lessons. They flow in and out of our lives to help us to learn and master these lessons. And to get 3 for 1 week, ooh, that third week of June, my friends, is going to be a doozy. Okay, there was just a crazy car squealing like nuts out there, and I'm going to try to edit that sound out without editing the video. But anyway, without editing, what you're seeing, just what you're hearing. So what we have here, these major universal energies that have entered, or that are going to enter our lives in the third week of June, the Empress, the Sun, and the Devil, there's a very interesting dichotomy going on here, and you can tell that just by looking at the energy. You don't even have to know how to read tarot cards to know, well, she looks pretty positive, this card looks awesome, and this card, not so much. And you would be correct. The Empress card, the Empress, this is the universal force of abundance, of creativity, and fertility. And so, again, she comes up under the Ace of Cups here, you see, and then you've got the King of Swords here, and I'm just going to start bringing out patterns in the spread now as opposed to at the end here. So what you've got here is, if you can control your thoughts, all these blessings will come to you, and they will result in abundance, prosperity, creativity, fertility, you know, all the things people strive for in their lives will be coming. So that's wonderful. And then we look at the midweek or so, and you have the sun energy here. And the sun, if you were to ask a question that had a yes or no answer, which by the way, I don't recommend doing with tarot, instead I use the phrase, what are the chances that? And then state your question that would otherwise be asking for a yes or no answer. Or what should I do about such and such a situation? Because the tarot really doesn't do well with yes, no answers, but if you were looking for a yes and you got the sun card, that's yes. And this is the card of achievement, success, wonderfully good health, happiness, joy, security. Just a fantastic card, especially following the Empress. It just magnified. They each magnify one another's energies. So week number 3 is going to start off with a bang, and a lot of people, you're going to have a lot of positive energy available to you to work with in terms of your creativity, any issues involving physical fertility or the fertility of your gardens, or if you're a farmer, fertility of creativity, of coming up with creative ideas and creative solutions. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Then we get toward the end of the week, and we get the fly in the ointment, the Devil card. The Devil card represents the universal energies of I don't know if I can say this without being flagged on YouTube. It's spelled ABUSE, you know, that's so, and that there's several types of that. There's physical, emotional, mental, and word starts with X, sex, well, you know, whatever. And there's also the deeper, darker form of that involves intimacy, which isn't really intimate, you know, it's an attack. So it's a very dark card. It also represents being stuck, being trapped, not being able to realize that there could be a way out. And so it's a feeling of being completely powerless in the situation. So we go from this really fantastic energy at the start and the middle of the week to this. And what it's telling me is this card is a warning to not take the good for granted. Count your blessings. Start each day with a grateful heart. Even if you think you don't have much to be grateful for, you know, what I do is I think of 3 to 5 things every single day I'm grateful for, no matter how small, even if it's just my cup of coffee in the morning, you know, or grateful for another day of life, which is no small thing. Many people don't get that, you know. They don't receive that. So it's a reminder here that when it comes to the ebb and flow of positive and negative energy, what I'm hearing from my guides is human beings are their own worst enemy. We can attract this stuff into our lives, and we don't need it, you know. And so to me, it's saying if you have been feeling stuck, if you've been feeling trapped, you've got enough positive energy backing you up now to where you can work your way through it. Again, I had to edit out the sound because there's someone out there revving their motor and racing down the street. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, you know, you have the wherewithal now to defeat this. So I think that for any of you who are dealing with a particularly negative situation in your lives, it's all going to be spurred on by this man at the beginning of the month, this authority figure that you can call on for help, who's going to have your back in the situation. he'll still be there. His influence is going to be throughout the month. The first card influences the entire month. That's how I read a month reading. And so that first card lends its energy to every other card in the spread. And so what you've got here, you've got this strong, powerful male authority figure who's extremely protective and loyal toward you. So whatever this is, when it rears its ugly head and says, oh no, I'm not quite done with you yet, call on him. Let him know what's going on, and he'll be quick to help out again. And he will have the ability to help whether you realize it or not. So ask and ye shall receive. And now here is the 4th week. And what we have here, we have the 3 of Wands, the 9 of Wands, and the Queen of Cups. The 3 of Wands, this is an individual here who's looking out to sea, and there are 3 ships that may be coming into port, they may be leaving the port. The traditional interpretation of this card is that it represents some sort of business commerce. The way I see it, you know that saying, your ship is about to come in? That represents an opportunity on the way. That's how I see this card. I see this card as either one major opportunity coming in or maybe 3 smaller ones, but they're coming. And you've got to keep an eye out. You see how this individual here is looking out to sea. They're overseeing these ships. They're watching to see which direction these ships are moving in. They want to know, are these ships coming or going? Are these blessings coming into my life, or are they leaving? And if they're leaving, are they the result of my hard work, or is my luck floating away? You know, that's another thing that this person needs to figure out. So that's how the week is going to start. And this card, I always see it as a door opener. If you've been feeling shut out, if you've been feeling shortchanged when it comes to like upward mobility at work and that sort of thing, a door will open, and it will either be a door within that particular situation that you're hoping to move forward with, or it'll be a door leading out of that situation and opening up to something better. But you have to keep your eyes out on the horizon. If you don't keep an eye out for it, you're going to miss this opportunity. Okay, that's the advice of the 3 of Wands. And then we have the 9 of Wands. The 9s in Tarot are all cards dealing with completion, things coming to a conclusion. And what we have in the 9 of Wands here, we have this guy, and he's erected these 8 wands behind him. It's been hard work. He's got one more wand to put up directly behind him to finish this fence or whatever it is he's trying to build here. But he's resting on that final wand. Because, like I said, he's exhausted. You know, sticking wands in the ground, it's hard work. If you've ever put in a post, a fence post, that is hard work. So he's resting on his laurels a bit, and then he's going to put that pole in where it belongs, and he's going to complete this wall or this fence, whatever it is that he's building. So it's a project coming to an end, and it's a project that's been hanging over your head for a long time. Okay, I've got to pause again because there's a bus. That's the problem when you film outside. You know, there's all these other noises going on, and I don't have any control over that, unfortunately. All right, so this is a major project coming to conclusion, or perhaps it's about to pay off. That could be too, because we've got the Empress right here and the Sun directly above it. And then you've got the Queen of Cups that concludes the whole reading. And she, like the Queen of Swords, is the mature woman, the mature female energy of her suit. And she represents creativity, intuition, and emotions. And so she's looking at this 9 of Wands here, guy. You see that? When I read Tarot, I always look to see what direction the characters on the cards are looking in, because that can tell you an awful lot about what's going on. And what we have here is she's looking at this project that's just finished up, and she's like, I can relax now. Also, she's holding this grail or chalice object as though she's handing it to someone, handing it to perhaps this individual in recognition for all their hard work. So what I'm seeing here is this represents recognition for something you're going to do this month, positive recognition, or it's going to be perhaps some sort of a bonus that's coming, or perhaps a raise, a promotion, or just major appreciation from your coworkers, those above you at work, or perhaps even your family members. So it's something that's coming to you, and something that's going to bring you a great deal of peace, healing, and understanding, because I'm really focused on the angel here on her throne, and that's what that angel represents to me, and the cherubs up here. So overall for June, we're looking at really good energy here. It's just that third week is going to be a little wonky, but again, oh, these dogs, I was almost done. But again, this strong individual at the start of the month, if this should rear its ugly head and is giving you a hard time, call on him for more help, and he will be more than willing and able to help you out through this. All right, so this is what I see for the month of June. From now on, my readings will be for the entire month, not weekly, as I explained at the beginning of the video. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for tuning in. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you like what you see, I ask that you please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button a second time to open up the notification menu. Click on all, and you will receive a notification in your YouTube app every time I post. And I will post at least once a week, sometimes twice. And I thank you all so much for viewing. This is Nefer of Magical Musings, wishing you a very blessed day ahead.